So I'm here with Christine, and we're both Lancashire lasses from northern UK. And what we thought we'd do today is have a chat about our process, both of us, and what that looks like, what we've been through. So I met Christine at on retreat, I think, with Philip Wade, who's helped us both immensely. And since then, Christine's joined some of my Q&As, some of my retreats, and we've become good friends, which is lovely. So we thought we'd just have a general loose chat about self-realization and our own process. So you've had a deep seeing, obviously, Christine, and so have I. And you're still in process, would you say? Is that fair to say, or?
That is definitely fair to say, yes.
Yeah, good.
I am, yeah.
Okay. And could you sort of mention something around when you first started to notice that there was more to life than what you believed to be, if that makes sense?
It does. I can remember that I had an instance one evening, and I was just sitting quietly listening to the radio, and all of a sudden I became aware of a lot of noise going on in my head.
Right.
So this noise had probably always been there, but I never really kind of noticed. You just kind of take it for granted it's there.
Yeah.
But I just suddenly became so aware of all this noise and all these thoughts going round in my head. And I kind of had a bit of a realization then that this had to stop. This can't go on. So I was starting to notice after that, day by day, more and more, that this noise was still kind of going on. But now the key thing was that I'd noticed it, I'd seen it.
Yeah.
So I kind of had, and also in with that as well, lots of kind of like emotions coming up, not really over anything in particular, just generally just feelings and sensations.
Was the emotion something you noticed, or they came up because you noticed the thoughts?
Maybe because I'd noticed the thoughts.
Right.
Yeah, the awareness was there then. So there's quite a bit of that going on in conjunction with these mishmash of thoughts.
Was this when you were an adult?
This is a few years ago. This is probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there has been kind of an ongoing process that kind of like led me to that spiritually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah. So you had stuff since a child, like I had?
Yes. Yeah, I was a very intuitive child. There was definitely a knowing there from probably really young primary school, probably about 5, maybe 5.
Yeah, so mine was around 4 when I suddenly noticed that there was all this noise, and I didn't just notice my own, I noticed those around me that were living from the headspace, living from thought.
Yeah. I wasn't seeing it I don't know if I was seeing it in others. I don't think I was seeing anything quite at that age. It was just a deep knowing. But one thing I do remember is that I used to, so it's like at break time in primary school, you'll have they used to come round with milk. I don't know if they still do or not, but they probably don't. But they used to come round with milk. at break time, on the first break, and I had my friends. I always had my friends around me, but at break times I didn't want to sit with my friends. I wanted to go and sit on my own, and I just remove myself. And I just remember that. I can see me doing it now. I can remember that so clearly.
Yeah.
You know, and just I think in those times I was kind of like just kind of like sitting quietly. It was like I would describe it now as a meditation.
So
I can
almost like your body and mind knew automatically to do that.
Yes.
Right. Because my one was I had I was very shy as a child. So I had one friend that we stuck to like glue. And we both would lie on the grass at break time and watch the clouds. And just it was almost like we needed that that space away from everything that was going on. I don't know who chose to do that, or we both just, I just remember doing that so much. Break time would come around and it was so hectic in school, so much going on, that we'd just take ourselves off into the grass, and just watch the clouds passing, and that sort of seemed to calm us. And that, you would never say, oh, we were meditating or whatever.
No.
It was just, it helped, and it felt good in the body.
Yeah.
So yours was the same then?
It was the same. And it was only for probably maybe 10-15 minutes. I don't know how long we got a break for, but it just kind of lasted for the duration of that time. And then I was back integrating again with everybody and active. But yeah, and it wasn't a case of feeling like I needed to kind of remove myself. It was just pure intuition.
Yeah.
just to do it.
Yeah.
So and this kind of like this going inward, but I'd always been like that. I've always been like that since, and that was just the first time that I noticed it at age 5.
Yeah.
And then from then onwards, I have always been like that, and this going inwards, and kind of, although the world's all been going on around me, there's been this kind of retreating inwards and kind of stepping away from it, and not because of anything really external that might have been going on with me. Nothing at all like that. Just just maybe this watching, really. This, a kind of this being in the world, but not of it.
Yeah. But not realizing what that was.
Yeah, exactly.
So a natural way of, it was just a natural,
exactly. Exactly.
So very similar here, but I would get very overwhelmed with the world, so it was almost like I had to do that, like I had to get away from it somehow.
Right.
So similar sort of process, and then there was a lot of sort of mystical stuff that went on for me. Did you have any of that?
Oh. Probably later on. You see, I'd always had this kind of love of taking myself off into nature. I'd either do that with my best friend, and we'd go on these lovely long country walks, because I was very blessed that I had a lot of countryside around where I lived.
Right.
So we were able to do that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
So I always, so I always felt kind of a pull, if you like, to do that and to go off somewhere quiet. So there was all of that, and then suddenly, and it was sudden, although it probably wasn't. It's probably just a process of all those years prior to being a teenager, and all of a sudden, and I feel that this is key to mention, for the process. All of a sudden at age 18, I was always been brought up C of E, but at the age of 8, yeah, but at the age of 18,
England.
Yes, Church of England. I suddenly decided to make the move into Catholicism.
Okay.
There was no thought about it. There was nothing. There was no thinking. There was no considering. I had members of my family who were Catholic, but there was no. I'd always been influenced by that because they'd always taken me, but not put any pressure or anything. It was none of that. But I just I knew it was the right thing to do, to convert to Catholicism. I knew it was.
Just for my benefit, is that Catholic?
Yes, Catholic.
Right.
Yeah, I became a Catholic. I was baptised into the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I had a deep seeing very recently about this. And I've always been a bit of a free spirit. I've never really wanted to stick to or rebelled against rules and regulations. I'm not good with rules and regulations. I will follow them if I have to, but I am a bit of a free spirit and I'll kind of go wandering off, So, and the Catholic Church, it is quite strict.
Yeah,
it is quite. I don't really want to use the term rigid, but it's I think those who've been brought up in that religion may agree that it can be quite strict. So, but for me, it wasn't really about what was being taught. It wasn't really about the hymns, the liturgy, all of that, the readings. It wasn't really all to do with that. Because I have this kind of aversion to rules and regulations, like I say sometimes, I pondered on this recently. Well, what was it that at that age, at age 18, which is quite a young age, really, and it was a big decision. It was a big decision, but it was the right decision, and it was an intuitive decision. What was that about? And very often, when I used to go to some of the masses, in fact, to be honest, probably most of the masses, I would end up in floods of tears, absolute floods of tears. And there was nothing going on. It wasn't for any particular reason. But I would just end up with all these tears just flowing out of me. And I've realised that what was happening was that my heart was opening up. I've only really truly realised this very recently, that why that was happening, because it was all happening from the inside. It was to open up my heart.
Right. Yeah. So
yeah.
So it's important to say we're not talking about religion here.
No.
But is it fair to say that you going down the Catholic route was a stepping stone towards opening up more?
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively, hugely significant, but nothing, as we say, nothing to do with the Catholicism as a religion per se.
Yeah. So similarly, I went down the route of Buddhism. So I found, the Buddhist sort of temple or whatever you would call it. It was, like a community place not far from where I lived. And they would do meditations and stuff like that. And it wasn't really about the teachings of Buddhism. It was as you say, it gave me that space to be more sort of disciplined, I guess, in being with myself and that brought up a lot of emotion here. And then another stepping stone was becoming a meditation teacher. So I'd done some meditation and I fancied being a teacher. And little did I know at the time, although there was little glimpses of it, whilst I was doing these courses, that was literally opening me up. It looked like I was training to be a meditation teacher. It looked like I was going down Buddhism, but actually what it was doing was just a stepping stone towards seeing a deeper truth, which had nothing to do with any of those things.
Yeah.
Is that basically what you're saying as well?
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that I didn't love the Catholic Mass.
Yeah.
I did, fully integrated with it.
Same with me. Yeah,
loved it.
Yeah,
but now I've realised that is what it was doing, and that's what the tears were showing me. And so it was like a cleansing and releasing, but a massive opening of the heart.
And those stepping stones can look like anything. Like people can go down a conspiracy theory route, where they start seeing things that they didn't see before. Anything. Like mine was Buddhist thing. People can find like a walking group, all those things, or even in therapy, all those things are a stepping stone, what I'd call a stepping stone towards this deeper truth of who we truly are.
Yeah.
And so they're all a beautiful part of that process.
They are. They definitely are. And what I found was as well is I started going to Glastonbury very often, on a very regular basis, and there's all kinds of things. You're surrounded by this. There's all kinds of things. There's Buddhist meditation. There's crystals. There's all kinds of things. You could go off on any number of paths, I think. Down there, and it was very, very interesting very interesting experience to all those times that I went. And it felt very spiritual. To me, it felt very spiritual, but yet at the same time I was very grounded. I did feel very, very grounded. So I wasn't I didn't kind of feel myself being led off into this path or the other path, or a multitude of paths, and exploring X, Y, Z, which it is a place. It's very eclectic, and you can do that down there, and it is wonderful. But for me, I was very grounded where I was. But I felt that again, like we're saying about the process, that was a hugely significant.
Yeah, it's crazy looking back, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt, it was. I can see it now. Hugely, massively benefited from those times down there, because it opened me up in a spiritual way that was right for me at that time. And kind of progressed me, if you like, if that's the right word.
And it's when we look at life, and it's I know both of us have had times where we've laughed about this, where all of it is pointing us to this, because yours was Glastonbury, which looked very spiritual and stuff like that, and mine was heavy metal. I was going to heavy metal concerts, right?
Wow.
And what do you call it, outdoor gigs, and for days on end and stuff like that. And there'd be times when at night time they'd have certain bands that would play string instruments like the cello and violin and stuff like that. And I would just be stood there in awe, and I'd just feel my heart expanding, You know, and it was nighttime, the stars were out. It didn't have to look like that, but this, you know, was just an example of these bands that were playing, you know, this beautiful music. And it was all, you know, looking back, it was, you know, I was all gothic and, you know, trying to keep in with the crowd and all that. But little did I know that all of it was pulling me to the heart. You know, and that can look like anything. It can look like, you know, your job. Whether that looks like your job is stressful and you move away from it, or whether there's, you know, something within your job that points to this, you know, it's in everything. It's in, if when we look at it, it's now absolutely everything from movies to music to people that come into our lives. It's all pointing us back to this.
It is, and you don't always realize, like you say, until you kind of reflect, you know, it was upon those times. And I think one of the other things with Glastonbury is because I've always had this love of nature since being a child. I mean, used to be out in nature. You know, you can just wander all around Glastonbury and it's just all fields, and it's you know, you can sit on the top of Glastonbury Tor, and it's, you know, and it sort of tuned me in more to nature as well. It really tuned me into nature, and I suddenly started noticing, you know, the sunsets, and being willing to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning walking up Glastonbury Tor to see the sun come up, which was worth it. Absolutely worth it. And I'm just
wow.
Just like, wow, I'm witnessing this, I'm watching this. It's like, you know, and how fabulous creation can be, and the amazing experiences that you can have.
And it's all natural.
And it can be anything as well. It can be the sound of the sea. You know,
and it's these things that we often miss because going back to what you were saying at the very beginning, because of this noise of the mind, it needs to look like this, I need to do this, I need to do that. And obviously things need to get done in life, but we often miss what's right in front of us.
I agree. It can be that way because very often people are very caught up in you know, we all get very caught up in our lives, our everyday activities, and so on and so forth. You know, and I think the men have got it right sometimes when they take themselves off. You know, they take themselves off fishing. You know, and just to be somewhere quiet and, you know, and and removed really from the outside world, if you like.
And again, that can look like, you know, a few mates. I mean, when my brother was younger, a fishing shop opened up near us. A few of his mates got together, let's do fishing. You know, life sort of just pulls you that way, if you like. Sometimes it's not a conscious thing, but when we realize this, then we can consciously start working on that quietness.
Yes, because then it becomes more noticeable. The more we become aware of that quietness, and it's not just externally quiet, it's internally. It's an internal quiet, a quietening down. And the more that we start to see that, the more that we find we're in that place, although it isn't a place exactly, but we can just refer to it as a place for now. But we're there. But we're here all the time. We're in it all the time. That you know.
It's here, whatever the situation. But those things that we've spoken about, lovely sunsets and things, can open us up to, oh, okay, you know, because often people will wait for their summer holiday or whatever, their vacation, wherever they're going, stressed, and then they get there and they lie on the sun lounge and like, oh, I can relax now, when actually that can be found in every moment.
It can. It can, and we don't actually need to. We don't need to go anywhere. That's the most amazing thing about it, and the most beautiful thing about it is that we don't actually have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, I wanted to go to India. You know, I had this urge to go to India, and I haven't been, but it's that's gone.
Yeah.
The more it's gone now, I thought, oh, I need to be in India
to do that type of thing.
yeah, I've got to go to India, and I've got to, you know, and that's where I'll experience all this, and this peace and this, so on and so forth, and but I know now, you know, I've realised I don't actually have to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Physical. I don't have to be anywhere.
All those things are inside us, all the heart opening sunset, the quietness of you know, and the spirituality of India. It's all here now. That what we're seeking is here now, and we've just got lost, got, you know, got caught up in life. So obviously all that's from both of us sounds really beautiful. Is there anything that you want to mention about the difficult parts of it that you've experienced?
I think probably I think the difficult part is when identity suddenly kicks in again. And you might not see it in that moment, you know, and then afterwards you think, oh no, you know, but then again, that's the ego saying, oh no.
Yeah.
So, oh
exactly.
no, I've done it again, you know, I've logged on.
Yeah.
I think for me, yes, because I know that I'd mentioned this when we did the mini retreat recently. But that, I would say, that is probably the most prominent thing, really, is and that's the most difficult.
Yeah.
It seems like
it's difficult, and then once you come through that type thing, it's like it was almost never there, and you know, you can't believe how much you sort of feared it, type thing.
Yeah, exactly that. You look at it afterwards and you think, well, how on earth did I manage to get pulled into
such
that?
A pickle.
And it's nothing.
Yeah,
you know, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And the very fact that it's that has kind of gone, and you've moved on from it, you know, and because everything is passing, you can see that everything then is passing, and really it's like another step, kind of in the process, if you like, that but that it's passing. So if it's passing, it's not permanent. You know, so go more to what is permanent, more towards what is permanent, and look for that. If you're looking, look for that. You know. Because
and it's actually a noticing of that, a finding of it, because it's here. And if we're caught up, you know, in the mind and lots of emotion coming up, it's in that trusting that is you know, a wave on the ocean, no matter how big it looks, you know, and there's nothing that we can do to get out of that. It will pass in its own time, you know, and whatever we do is the right thing to do, whether that's, you know, going off to read, or taking a walk, or, you know, having a chat to somebody, having a cry, whatever.
I guess it's whatever is kind of needed, if you like, in that moment, whatever not even needed, but whatever feels right in that moment, without you know, I can't sometimes
a hard time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And I think another thing, something with me, I know that I kind of watch, and I've noticed this recently as well, is that if something's coming up, there was something last week, I can't remember what it was now, one instance, and I could have gone into fight or flight.
Yeah.
And a lot of that being that way has really been dissolving.
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like you catch that fight or flight. You just notice it, don't you? Rather than before or whatever, it would be you'd be right in it before you notice that you were heading for it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, oh, because you're so in tune with the body, so in tune with the mind, that when that starts coming up, it's a noticing. It doesn't mean that it's going to be, extremely comfortable or anything like that, but it's that total allowing, total noticing. Even the deepest of fears can be shown in front of your face. And it's almost like, oh, am I going there? Oh no, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, because you're remembering then that you're not a person.
Yeah.
Well, well, that's what the person does. So more and more, I have to say that I have to, really acknowledge that when we did the mini retreat recently, Jolene, since that time, oh my days, so much has dissolved.
Great.
So much has dissolved, and
Yeah.
and there's been some really noticeable shifts in consciousness, and yeah, and this, oh well, if something comes up where before I might have thought, oh, it's all personhood, I'm dropping back into this personhood. There's like a bit of a stepping back, and well, I'm not a person. That doesn't feel, that way of behaviour or reaction or whatever doesn't feel right to me. It feels almost alien to me.
Yeah.
And there's a seeing that, well, I'm not that.
Yeah.
I'm not that. And that is coming up quite often now, which is really good.
Yeah.
It is, it is really good. Yeah.
Was there something in particular that stood out to you on the last Q&A, or is it just all of it in general?
No, I think it's let me think. No, I think it's all of it. I think it's all of it in general. And it still feels like it's integrating.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm still integrating from that, from that experience of the retreat. But it was profound for me, and it has been ever since. It's I've listened back to it, and in its entirety, and the shifts of just continuing. Sometimes when you listen back, you think, well, I'm not listening the first time, but you know that you were.
Yeah.
You know that you were, but you hear it differently, or you think, did I not hear that? I don't remember. But you know that you did, because I know that I listened intently. I listen intently when we do these things. But yeah, there were the odd thing coming up that I thought, did I miss that? I'm sure I must have heard it, but now I'm either hearing it again or I'm hearing it differently, and it's moving more deeply.
One of the important things that I always stress is to revisit the videos, not from a place of, oh, I need to do this, but just choose any, revisit them, have breaks in between, revisit again, because it is literally like watching a movie and you go, oh, I didn't hear that bit last time.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
the video I think you're talking about is, this one's going to go on YouTube. So the video you're talking about is two behind. So there was a short video before this one, and then the other one, it's a Q&A. I can't even remember the date of it now. But
Yeah.
you know, any of them, you know, dipping into them, you will hear more.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you've experienced, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's having that, you know, there does have to be a bit of a dedication. There does have to, definitely the biggest thing is the trust. You know, if you don't understand something at the time, realize that you will hear it again in whatever way, and be okay with that. You know, trust. You know, in the times when things look difficult, trust again. You know, that's one of the biggest, well, it is the biggest thing, is the trust.
Yeah, it is. I agree. I agree with that. Definitely.
And then, so with is it fair to say that now that you can see from this space of awareness, and you see that you're not this body mind, there's like for me anyway, there's like a memory of what it was like before. That's the only way I can sort of put it, you know, the word memory. It's just a
Yeah.
memory of what it was like before. And so people often want to know what it's like after you've sort of had this seeing. How does life change? Does it change? You know, do you want to say anything on that?
Um, I would say from what I've experienced from my own perspective, is the one of the greatest things that I've noticed is because we do sometimes say, well, you know, is everything in the external world going to change? Is it going to you know, how is this going to come about? What's going to happen as we deepen more and more into our true selves? I think the perspective changes. The seeing is that it looks the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
You're seeing it from a different place,
Yeah.
a different perspective.
Yeah.
So what you're looking at, say externally, it could be a place that you visit, you know, and suddenly it looks different. It looks different, but
Yeah.
nothing's changed about that
Yeah.
place. Exactly the same, but you there's been a shift
Yeah.
in your perception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that
So
makes everything so much lighter. It
mm-hmm.
just, it's hard to put into words, isn't it? It just changes. Um,
Yes.
you know, there could be a house move, there could be a change of friendships, you know, but that's been happening lifelong anyway.
Mm.
But as far as, you know, you still see the same family members. They may go out of your life, they may come back into your life. You still go to the same shopping centres, and it's just a different, it's just different, but it all looks the same, exactly what you've just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does, and the connection as well. You know, I know I've noticed that I'm feeling more and more connected. Every time I go out, wherever I go, I'm blessing everybody.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, person A may pass and person B may pass, and I don't know them. I've never seen them before in my life, but it doesn't matter because the connection
Yeah.
is becoming more and more seen now,
Mm,
if you like.
yeah. More
Quite
and
nice,
more
but
obvious.
yeah, more and more obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas you might dismiss a certain person, you know, just because they're just, you know, a regular person that's come into your life for whatever reason. Like, somebody helped me move some furniture the other day, and I was just looking at this person in awe. Whereas before it would have just been, oh, it's just, you know, it's just a removal guy, and you know, means nothing really. He's just doing a job. But I could see the divinity in that exchange of this person that had come in into the picture, and that even they were another part of me.
I agree with that. I can see that that is exactly it, because you kind of moving beyond somebody just coming to maybe do a repair for you or something, and somebody was trying to sort one of my locks out last week, and and the gratitude that was coming up for this service,
That's it.
And you start seeing the divinity in apparent others, kind of thing, and that's the connection. That's the connection, because once we remove the idea, once it's dissolved that we're separate from each other, it's kind of it's almost amusing in a way to think that, oh, wow, we're all one. We're not, we look, we all take on different appearances, and it looks like there are many of us, and really there isn't.
No. And it's funny that, like I said, this memory was where we felt so disconnected. You think, how did I even feel like that? But obviously you can see how the conditioning can make it so.
It can.
And again, with what we've just said, does anything change after self-realization? No, you still have people that need to come and do a repair at your house. You still have removal people. You still need to go to the shops to buy things, but it's different. But it's so different. All of it is the mystery and the magical, and you can still get caught up. It doesn't mean that you're floating off. That's the other thing. There's a misconception that you'll be floating off into some mystical world or something, and that's not it. There may be sort of mystical experiences along the process, but when you recognize, oh, it's this, it's not floating off into some mystery space, or into some bubble of love. Things still happen. There's things that might annoy you, but that quickly passes through, and you see it for what it is, but it's all part of the process.
It is. I think someone once said something to me, and it stuck with me. It was a long time ago. It stuck with me all these years, and they said not everyone is pink and fluffy. And what so there may be some who appear to be spiritual but don't, kind of just be careful, just kind of err on the side of caution, because all may not be what it appears to be, and so on and so forth. And and there is this aspect of it where you don't want to get kind of carried away. It's not about being floaty and all the rest, which is
and there's still, you still have to have boundaries with certain characters. It's okay to walk away from certain characters. It's okay to have a break from certain characters, or not have them in your life, or anything like that. It's not about being this fluffy bunny type thing, like you've said.
No, there's still, and that again is where the awareness is coming in, because that still has to be there, like you said, that the boundaries kind of thing still needs to be in place. If not for your own protection, I mean, great to see, as I said before, that we are the same. We are the same consciousness. Okay.
As is the cat.
Yes. But and we know, you know, we can see that, yeah, maybe we can see that, yes, we are the same consciousness, but at the same time, there's equally got to be the awareness that, as I said, not everybody is pink and fluffy, and we're not, you know, you've still got to have the err on the side of caution and boundaries and so on and so forth, and that may seem like the human side, but it's necessary. It's still necessary. You know,
and
because we're still in the world.
It appears that there's others that don't know it. You know, that's an appearance, but we still have to play the game of that.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Yeah,
that is exactly it. Yeah, whilst we're still sort of carrying that awareness and we can see it, but you know, there might be a lot of personhood coming up from whoever you're speaking to or spending time with, or you know, that can't see it. There's not that awareness or no awareness there, and so you know, there is still that too.
And then in that as well, going deeper into that, there's a seeing that you know, like I said, it's you know, it's the only way I can put it across. It's an appearance that they can't see it. We still play the game of it. And then there's also alongside that a seeing that actually they're helping us and we're helping them, whatever way that looks, just naturally. You know, there's no need to, and in fact, there's absolutely no, you know, desire here to go and teach this to people that might look like they're struggling or might look like they're a difficult character. But actually, if there's, you know, if there is a difficult character that comes into the picture, there's a seeing that, oh, you know, am I gonna fall into this trap?
Yeah.
You know, am I going to fall into this trap of fighting with this person, arguing with this person? And it like I said, it's a subtle thing because there does have to be boundaries. So it's okay to voice your opinion to someone and say, actually, no, don't treat me like that. You know, but are we going to emotionally get attached to that? You know, it's almost like life saying, okay, you've got a little bit of this going on inside. Let's bring this character into the picture and see how, you know, how you're going to handle that. And that will keep coming and keep coming.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all in favor of this seeing.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite curious and intriguing when that presents itself. Because then you know, and then you can feel, so something will be presented to you from an apparent other, as I refer to people, and it's something that you may need to overcome, or some, you know, something within you that's being reflected. It's being reflected back to you, and so it can be very interesting to see what is being presented in those instances.
And you think, oh, I thought I'd got over that little thing.
I thought I'd dealt with that.
And it's literally it's literally like another character in another body, but it's you reminding yourself.
Oh, it is the cosmic joke, isn't it? Really, it's the cosmic joke.
It is.
You couldn't make it up, really, could you?
You
know, you'd have to.
It's absolutely fascinating. And it's so obvious when you see it, but it's like, oh yeah, like that. It's not something. I mean, along the way there can be times when it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh wow, you know, and they can be really dark times and scary times and all that. But when it's, you know, when the naturalness of this is seen very clearly, it's literally, oh, of course. Of course, that's it.
Yeah. It is. It is remarkable. Human life on this planet is even just day to day. Never mind just putting anything else aside. you know, like in any kind of incredible experience. This is one huge, massive, incredible experience.
Yeah.
It's, you know, even on
And
a day-to-day basis.
It's you against you, or you with you.
Yes, yes.
You know, there's no one else involved.
Yeah.
I think there's that there's a song by Baz Luhrmann or something like, I can't even say his name, the sunscreen song, and he says in it, the race is long, but in the end it's only with yourself. And that was, you know, I loved that song when I was younger, and then I heard it again a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh my god, that's so profound.
Yeah.
Again, like I'd heard something completely different, but it was the same words.
Yeah.
You know, I'd just seen it on a completely different level.
Yeah.
And it literally is like, it's you helping you. All of it.
It is in many guises.
Yeah.
every encounter.
And that's why you can't not love the others either. There can be an appearance of, oh, that person annoys me, or that person's getting on my nerves today, or, you know, even a hatred or whatever. But the naturalness of this seeing is you cannot not love others, no matter how they present themselves, because it's you bringing yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is.
So that's the true, that's what we mean by self-love. Like we can, you know, on the very, you know, very basic level, when people go through therapies and stuff and they want to start self-love, they might start, you know, having an Epsom salt bath, or you know, having boundaries, and all these things are great. When you see what true self-love is, it's everything. Yeah. It's here all the time, constant.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Amazing.
It is. All of it is. And the deeper you go with this, the more you see that it is truly amazing. All of it, however it comes, however it presents itself, whoever it presents itself through. And then, you know, you get these moments of deep gratitude to another for showing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you just feel this
thank you for being this gratitude to me today.
Yeah, yes, I could have done without that, but thank you.
Yeah, I could have done without that, but yeah,
thank you.
I see now. Yeah. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
It is.
So is there anything that you want, because before we come on here, you said that there were some things that you wanted to share. Has that been brought up during this conversation?
I think pretty much. I think there was just an occasion on Friday, and there was, I don't really know what, I don't think there was any cause. There were lots of tears coming up. Lots of tears. It was my birthday on Friday. Right. But it was a very special birthday. It was a big birthday. And I went back to where I was born.
Right.
And which is Whalley in Lancashire. And it's a beautiful place. We're only small, but we've got Whalley Abbey, and it's a really lovely place to be. It's my most favourite place on earth, to be honest. And so it was the first time I'd ever gone to Whalley, been in Whalley, my birthplace, on my birthday.
Right.
You know, so it was amazing, really, because I was just walking. I went on my own. I wanted to go on my own. It was right to go on my own, spend some time there. And but there were lots of tears coming up, and it felt like a dying, and
And that can feel very uncomfortable in the body.
It didn't feel uncomfortable. No, it didn't feel uncomfortable because I knew what it, I think the fact that I knew what it was helped probably with that as well. Yeah. Otherwise, it may have done. But I could just, I was just witnessing this dying off, and this dissolving, and then it felt like there were lots of cleansing tears coming. So none of this was attributed, again, nothing external, nothing had happened. There was nothing that had occurred to upset me in any way. It was just, it might have been the emotion of being in that place, but I didn't feel it was that. I really didn't feel it was that. But I did feel that on that day, because it was my birthday, that it was significant for me that all this was presenting itself.
Yeah.
And it did feel like, you know, it was the dying off of attachment.
Yeah.
And identity.
Yeah, identity, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. So the sadness coming up. But the sadness is coming from the ego. It's coming from the ego because of the dying off. That. Yes. Oh yeah, I could see that so clearly. Yeah. And I knew that wasn't me. Yeah. I knew that wasn't me. I knew that was the ego. The sadness was coming from the ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it, really.
Is it fair to say that because there's a deep natural trust, that makes that process easier?
Oh, definitely.
And then, you know, had you sort of not known what you know, you could have gone off into all sorts of what's wrong with me, analysing why is this happening. Whereas when there's that deep trust, which, you know, you can practice that trust and then it becomes natural. When there's that deep trust, it's just allowed. It's just an allowance. And yeah, you said it wasn't uncomfortable, but it can be a little bit uncomfortable, or it can be majorly if there's not that trust there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Which can spiral off into all sorts of mind stuff.
Yeah. I absolutely. And had I not been kind of, I guess, at the point where I am now, then all of the above could have manifested. Everything that you've just said, and it could have gone off anywhere in any direction. Yeah. But no, because there's that trust, and because there's that awareness there, it didn't affect me in any of those ways. I could see it very clearly what was being presented. Yeah.
And sometimes it's almost welcomed, because you know that it's a letting go of you know, something that there's a holding on, and again, there's no force in that. Like you know, you had this birthday, you went up there, and then this release happened. We just, you know, when that happens, it happens. You know, it's just a natural part of this process.
Yes, it is, and sometimes when feelings of sadness and tears come up, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're yours.
Yeah.
You know, something could have happened. I've had this in a couple of instances in the fairly recently, where the experience has been someone else's. But I felt sadness and tears coming up if it's been that kind of situation. But I've known that it's not mine, and that it doesn't belong to me. But it's presented an opportunity, an invitation, really, for whatever needs to be let go of in me. I've had that opportunity to let it go.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually have to be anything that's going on in your life. It could be something that's presented to you, it's going on in somebody else's life. And it may not feel, excuse me, that you are being directly affected by it, you know.
Yeah.
But it could prompt a release
of something.
Yes.
Some conditioning. Yeah.
Yes. Anything really. Yes.
Yeah. So it, in effect, although that might sound, what I'm feeling something that somebody else is going through, actually that is for you.
Yeah.
Because there is no separation.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite remarkable how it comes about sometimes. It's quite remarkable. Yeah.
Lovely. So it's been absolutely beautiful to talk to you. I think we've had a lovely conversation there. Is there anything else you want to say before we end this?
No, I don't think so, except to say thank you. It's been wonderful to spend time with you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you too. Thank you for sharing all that. It was lovely. Thank you.
But they all are, with you and with Philip, and I did a retreat. I've done a couple of retreats with Muji as well, and everybody, yeah, everybody's singing from, you're all singing from the same sheet, so it's just in different ways, saying the same thing, just in different
people say
different styles.
People say to me sometimes, I've heard this before, or somebody said something similar, and because it's the same thing, just part of your sort of character puts it across in a different way.
It's a fan with you that it's so down to earth and so accessible and grounded, and it's interesting to see how Philip kind of presents and how Muji presents, and you are all three, you're different, but you're saying the same thing. It's the same thing, but it's so interesting, the different ways in which it's presented. It's and each of you have, I find each of you have a way that kind of really reaches me. Really, really reaches me. And I guess it can be what you need just in that moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just that clear reminder.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Lovely.
Yeah.